let's get into the brain chemistry that I'm talking about. Really surface level, you guys. This is super easy to understand. Not going to drill you with a bunch of like technical stuff that you don't care about. But what you need to know is that when you drink, every time you choose to drink, you are rewiring your brain to need alcohol. You are training your brain to need alcohol to handle whatever situation you're feeling at that moment, okay? Because every time you drink, your brain releases a little bit of dopamine. Dopamine is that feel-good chemical. It's part of our brain's reward system. It's what makes us enjoy things. It's what makes us happy from whatever we're doing, whatever we're experiencing in a moment, okay? So when we drink and we get that dopamine hit, our brain remembers it. Our brain is like, yeah, this feels good. And this good feeling is associated with alcohol because that's what we're doing right now in the moment. But the interesting thing about dopamine is we can only have so much. Our brain can only handle so much at a time. So when we drink on a regular basis, and it causes this big surge, this big dump of dopamine, our brain has to protect itself from having too much dopamine. So what does it do? It naturally starts to reduce the amount of dopamine it produces on its own. And it then, after a while, actually makes us less sensitive to the cascade of effects that follow that dopamine dump so that we don't deal with side effects of too much dopamine. So every time you take a drink to get that happy feeling, to get that buzz, to get that joy, to get that fun, to get that release, all of that triggers a dopamine release in your brain. To the point then where your brain is going to quit making its own dopamine. It's going to quit releasing that feel-good chemical on its own. And so then the only way you can experience that is from drinking. You let that go on long enough, and that's how all of a sudden the only thing you want and need is alcohol. You can't relax at the end of the day by just cuddling with your cat or your dog or your kids or going for a walk or eating a good meal. You need that glass of wine. You need that vodka soda. You need that beer because you have trained your brain to need it. And you have trained your brain to rely on the dopamine fix that comes from that drink. So over time, then it becomes harder and harder for us to feel pleasure from the other things in our life that used to be enough, right? So this is anything and everything, you guys. It's sleep, it's connecting, it's movement, it's food, it's our favorite activities, it's everything. All of those things become less capable of bringing us joy, and alcohol becomes the only thing that can produce the feeling that we want. Now, the kind of the double-edged sword to all of this, because of course, alcohol doesn't just affect one thing, right? It affects everything, really. It affects everything. But the next thing we're going to talk about, because like the flip side of this coin, the double-edged sword, what happens here is alcohol is not just hijacking our dopamine, it's hijacking our serotonin too. Now, that's another one of these brain chemicals that you've probably heard of, okay? Serotonin is what helps balance our moods. It's what helps bring peace. It's what helps bring like relaxation. It's what helps us regulate our emotions, okay? So initially, when we take a drink, or maybe, years ago before drinking became a problem, however long ago that was for you, alcohol, boosts serotonin just a little bit. And that is part of what feels good. And that's part of what makes us go back, right? But then, of course, because alcohol is a toxic chemical, it is a drug. So any good feeling we get from it, first of all, is not real. And second of all, doesn't last very long and comes with a list of side effects. So what happens then in terms of serotonin is long-term, alcohol actually depletes our natural serotonin. Very similar to what it does to dopamine. When we have alcohol in our system frequently enough and long-term enough, it depletes our own serotonin levels. And so over time, this is what contributes to anxiety. This is what makes our anxiety worse. This is what makes our depression worse. This is what makes us so emotionally unstable.